Hey everyone. This is Caroline from Woo Money Mastery, and today I am here to tell you about why budgeting apps suck. All right, so I believe that overall budgeting apps suck, and you should not use them. Um, you end up putting way too much trust into a system where you don't have very much control. You're trusting it, and there's a lot at stake if it goes wrong, right? I've tested these out myself and I've seen firsthand, your syncing stops from one account to another. Not all of your accounts can be linked. Sometimes it's information overload, right? Because they keep prompting you and prompting you to add more and more account information, and you don't necessarily want to be basing your weekly or monthly budget and including things like your long term savings and investments, right? Like if you have money set away for an emergency fund, you don't necessarily want to constantly have your eye on it because it's supposed to be set aside in like a separate vault. So I think budgeting apps suck. So what do I recommend that you do instead of use a budgeting app? Um, I recommend spending time with your money, right? Especially when you're first starting out with budgeting, right? The more time you spend with your money, the more you get to learn. And especially when you're first starting out, you're first learning what your family's needs are, your budget may need to change and flex and be adjusted as you go, as often as every pay period, if need be, right? Um, Certain expenses may come up, one-off expenses or things you weren't necessarily planning for, and kind of while you're still getting your budget muscle built, I think it's really important for you to be mindfully designing what you need your money to do for you. um, when you do this, whether it's, I personally use pen and paper, you can do it on your spreadsheet, but like when you're spending that time with your money, you begin to notice patterns, right? You begin to see, like, maybe certain days of the week are busier than others and kind of you end up spending more, right? You're more involved with your money when you do this. So when you make a money decision, it requires more thought on your part, more consciousness, right? If you are the one who is like physically tracking where you are spending your money as it happens in real time or shortly thereafter, you're able to make pivots and adjust if need be. Typically with these electronic budgeting apps, what happens is they give you the data after it has already happened. It's hard to make sometimes an informed decision kind of as you go along, right? Um, and I think when you're spending that one-on-one time with your money, right, like actually doing the work of like making the transfers, paying the bills, figuring out how much you want to allocate to a certain category, there's some feelings that start to come up, right? Like I talked about in last week's video, money is a very emotionally charged uh, topic of conversation, right? And when you're spending the time working with your money by yourself, you'll begin to notice your feelings about money come up too, right? Like if you overspent in a category, you might beat yourself up about it, and that's something that you can delve into. Or, you find yourself constantly like there's a pattern of if you get stressed out, then you go and you know, buy this one particular thing in this one category, right? So you can use that insight to set custom and individualized goals for yourself, as well as just to like kind of get to know what makes you tick, right? Like what about money makes you happy? Just becoming more conscious, figuring out how you can kind of incorporate that into your life, but like in a way that is, sustainable and still allows you to work towards your goals, right? And, I think, well, one thing to say is, I know there are certain budgeting apps that work for lots of people. There's a big dedicated following to YNAB, you need a budget. But for a beginner, they tend to have a really big learning curve, right? Or if you've, you know, are fortunate enough that, you've got plenty of income coming in, you're just plugging away at your goals, but you don't really have that like drive within you to get them done faster, like it's totally okay to set certain things to an auto invest, auto save feature and just do what you want with the rest. Like that's the amazing thing about budgeting is you can do what works for you. But if you're looking to make really targeted progress, I recommend not using a budgeting app, spending time with your money. And I think kind of what all this boils down to is your relationship with money, becoming more conscious of it, becoming more aware of it, figuring out how it works for you. And like all good relationships in life, right? You devote attention to it, right? And you learn from it and with it. It sounds a little woo, right? But if you're with a partner or with your kids and you just kind of set it and forget it, like, yeah, you're not going to have a toxic relationship, but it's not necessarily going to be the best either. You guys might not know each other very much. You might not, just kind of understand what makes each other tick or how to make each other happy. Whereas, with money as well, like you cultivate your relationship with money, you get to know what you want it to do for you. You get to know, how long it ends up lasting you for your with your family, with your guys' needs. You start to make conscious decisions about, I don't want to spend my money on these particular things because these other things matter more to me, right? When you're devoting your time and attention to it, you treat it well, you treat it with respect, and it will do the same for you in turn, right? It will begin to allow you to reach your goals faster and faster and faster, like a snowball picking up speed going downhill. And that's when you really start to turn the tide, you when you just it develops that feeling of, from, oh, this thing that, kind of tells me what I can and can't do, to you are the one taking charge. You are the one deciding where you want your money to go, how you want it to work for you, what things you want it to grow and cultivate in your life, right? So hopefully this has been helpful. Now you guys know why I think budgeting apps absolutely suck and why I think you shouldn't use them. If you need help figuring out how to actually budget, I have a simple 4-step cash framework, and I would love to teach you it, get you the results that a lot of my other students have gotten as well. Send me a message down below, sign up for my mailing list, and I will make sure that you have all that you need so that you can start getting these transformational results as well.